Are we really eating KFC or are we secretly eating Wendy's? This KFC is already doing some damage to my stomach.
He's the food scientist that loves food and will put you in a good mood. It's Johnny Aardvark, he's the life of the party.
Hey there, Aardvark foodies. Today, we've got a date with you, me, and KFC. We're gonna try out some of the classic KFC menu items. We are going to go into the nutrition, of course, and the science behind the KFC, and then a little bit about the history even too. Now let's go to the drive-thru to get our food. Now let's get some of that finger-licking chicken. Man, that Colonel sure did know what he was doing when he came up with this chicken restaurant. Gonna do an 8-piece bucket meal with fries and mac and cheese. And if we do that, I guess, as a meal, we were gonna do the Mountain Dew Sweet Lightning, the drink for that. For the two sides for that, we are going to do fries and mac and cheese. And then we're gonna do 2 of the KFC wraps. We're gonna do 1 famous bowl, 12-piece of nuggets, 2 large gravies, 1 chicken little, and a chocolate chip cake. That should be it. And for this order, they probably had to go out to the farm and grab some fresh chickens. Is there any way to buy any KFC shirts or anything like that? Dang. Now it's time to get back to the lab and start gnawing on some chickens. We're gonna make sure we got everything we ordered. That was a pretty big order.
All right, Aardvark foodies, we are back at the lab and we've got our delicious KFC spread. I mean, look at this. We've got your classic mac and cheese, the famous bowl. We have got, of course, 2 things of gravy because you can't go wrong there. The amazing secret recipe fries. Couldn't help myself. They are way too good. We've got their limited time Kentucky Fried Chicken wraps, 1 classic and 1 with mac and cheese. Of course, we've got 4 biscuits. Little order of coleslaw never hurt nobody. And a cute little chicken little. And the 8-piece extra crispy fried bucket meal. And of course, for dessert, we've got the Colonel's Homestyle Brownie Cake. Because, you know, I really think I'm going to deserve dessert after eating all of this. Fun fact, did you actually know that Colonel was not his official military rank? It was just an honorary title given to him by the governor of Kentucky. You know, even though he wasn't an official colonel, I always thought he was growing up until I learned. But, you know, coming from a military family, I just think it's important to always say thank you to the troops. What they do is incredible. They give 150% every day, and they deserve a fair, good bit of recognition. And maybe even a little KFC of their own. All right, we're going to start off today with a food challenge. Here we've got the Chicken Little. It's a simple little sandwich, just a small piece of fried chicken, some pickle, and a little bit of mayo, all on a sesame seed bun. And this challenge, we're going to try eating this in 1 bite. I'm not the best food eater, competitive or otherwise, but I think I can actually handle this one. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Oh, Chicken Little. That was a good classic movie. All right, everybody knows this is actually 1 bite. Dink. So close. Doggone it, this is all I had left. 1 tiny last little section. For being a Chicken Little, that was a surprisingly big sandwich. Alright, now like always, we've got to get into the nutrition facts of what we just ate. So in that sandwich there was 300 calories, 27 grams of carbs, 14 grams of protein, and 15 grams of fat. That is a lot packed into a small little bite-sized sandwich. You know, maybe instead of calling it the Chicken Little, they should probably at least call it the Chicken Medium. Now, we're moving on to the iconic, famous, the most well-known bucket in the world, KFC's 8-piece chicken bucket. Extra crispy, of course. Take a look at that. Well, I can't tell you guys how many times I've actually tried sneaking in a bucket of this into the movie theater. All I just do is put it inside a normal bucket of popcorn, walk right in. They wouldn't even know, except for the other people in the theater with me. They could tell pretty immediately I was eating KFC. I mean, come on. This chicken don't smell like no popcorn, but they do make, crazily enough, popcorn chicken. Did you know that the Colonel didn't even actually invent his famous bucket? It was actually started by a franchisor, Dave Thomas. That's right, the founder of Wendy's was an early franchisor of KFC and introduced the bucket on a rotating, beautiful platform to the world. So, are we really eating KFC or are we secretly eating Wendy's? Alright, now it is time to actually try a piece of this iconic, extra crispy chicken. Ooh, it's already starting to crumble. Now we're going in for our bite. Whew. I forgot to try it with the gravy. Now I'm gonna go classic skin only. That is your classic KFC fried chicken right there. You can really taste all 11 of those secret herbs and spices. And did you know that that recipe is still kept a top secret locked in a vault today? There's only 2 people that actually know that recipe. And maybe one day it'll be 3 with me, your friendly neighborhood food scientist. Alright, now it is hard to mess up that classic recipe there. Was not bad at all. It was pretty solid, a little dry on the inside, so that gravy really helped to give it that oh so creamy, thick and creamy and savory flavor. And I mean, you really can't go wrong with that fried chicken skin. That stuff is edible on its own. We're gonna go in for one more bite, but this time we're gonna take a little bit off and go chicken only with a little skin into the gravy. It's a little dry on the inside, so they might have been letting it sit out a bit long. But all in all, still solid, especially when you add it with that gravy. So, did you know that the structure of poultry skin is actually important in batters and breadings? The skin is composed of a thick dermis, or inner layer, and a thin epidermis, or outer layer. It contains about 45% content of lipids, or fats. So, the lipids of the chicken epidermis consist of about 34% wax diesters, 32% triglycerides, 11% sterols, and 11% phospholipids, and an array of other minor lipids. And it primarily serves as a water barrier for the animal. You know, chicken skin was actually initially condemned because it was found to be high in fat content. But those fats are unsaturated, which have been shown to not only lower cholesterol, but improve blood pressure. You know, baking the chicken without the skin typically leads to a dry and unpleasant flavor, but that is why it is typically overcompensated with a lot of extra salt, which is not great for your sodium intake. You know, chicken skin is also interesting because it adds protein and no carbs. But I mean, come on. I'm not sitting here and saying that this thing right here is healthy for you, because it's fried, so that drastically increases the oil content. That chicken was pretty good. Like I said, it was a little dry on the inside, but honestly, it tastes amazing with the skin, and all you gotta do to offset that dryness is dip it in a little bit of gravy. So for me, we're gonna go 8.4, just because it definitely could have been better, but still lives up to my opinion of the classic KFC fried chicken flavor. KFC is a huge Christmas tradition in Japan, and it actually accounts for about 1/3 of their yearly business. It is also very popular in China, especially around the holidays. It provides a quick, easy, convenient, and just complete package for what you want on Christmas Day. And interesting still, the #1 selling KFC location is actually in Beijing, China. They were the first fast food restaurant from America to actually enter the Chinese market, even beating McDonald's. So I think it's safe to say that KFC is loved in China about as much as it is loved by me. Now for a bite of the classic biscuit and gravy. Look at that texture. Super short, super crumbly, but honestly, really nice and soft on the inside. One of my favorites. Dip it in with the gravy. That biscuit is top notch. Again, paired with the gravy, hard to go wrong. Anything you could put this gravy on would taste 10 times better immediately. Now we're gonna just try the biscuit on its own to see how it compares. Still solid. Nothing to complain about. A solid biscuit from KFC you can't really go wrong with. It's a 7.7 easy. With that gravy, it goes up to an 8.7. So a biscuit is a small chemically leavened bread. Soft wheat flour is typically chosen to give that biscuit a shorter texture. But when high-speed processing is required, that hard wheat flour is typically substituted. Most biscuits are made from dough that is similar in consistency to classic bread dough. And flakiness is often a desirable attribute for these types of products. So flakiness can be added by attaining shortening in layers in a lamination process, or by adding it directly to the dough as hard shortening chips. The basic characteristic that separates things like a biscuit or cookie or a cracker from other baked products like bread and cake is typically moisture content. So biscuits, cookies, and crackers have a base that is approximately 60% cereal. This base is typically wheat, but can also be oat, wheat, barley, or rye. Other major ingredients are fat, shortening, and of course, sugar. So while water is also added to cookies, biscuits, and crackers, it is typically not there at the end of the baking process, making it a less than significant constituent of that product. Now it is time to move on to trying a bunch of different products in the KFC gravy. First off, we are going to start with the fries. We already kind of did this, but they're so darn good. Couldn't help but do it again. Now we're going to do another piece of biscuit. Excellent. A classic chicken nugget, fried to KFC seasoning, of course. Next up, we'll go back to a piece of chicken. Time for a little mac and cheese. Now, we're going to save the wraps for something a little special down the road. But you know what? Let's get crazy. Oh, man. That is a hard cookie cake in the gravy. You know, that's all good and fun and dandy, but to be completely honest, nothing does not taste better with a little bit of this delicious KFC gravy. Even the gravy tastes better with gravy. So interestingly enough about gravy is that it is actually made from the juice runoff when cooking meat, and it is often thickened with starch. And the flavor and the color are enhanced further by salt gravy, which is basically just a combination of salt and caramel coloring. And the really cool thing about it is that gravy is actually thickened through a very interesting chemical process called starch gelatinization. During this process, the starch granules begin to absorb the water and swell until they eventually burst, releasing amylopectin and amylose, which help to contribute to the thickened nature of gravy. Now, circling back to the fries actually, did you know that the crispiness of the fries is actually affected by the water content of the potato? Water turns to steam during frying. This contributes to the expansion of the fries and that light and crispy texture that they are known for. You know, these fries are amazing and probably even just a little bit better than that chicken. So that to me, 9.1 easy. These fries are amazing. They are phenomenal. They're everything great about the chicken, but in a French fry now. You know, these fries are so good, it's like a small bite of heaven every time. So surprisingly enough, we got ourselves a family large, but in a small serving of these KFC fries, you are looking at 320 calories, 41 grams of carbs, 15 grams of fat, and 5 grams of protein. Now, the reason why we gave y'all the small size nutritional content is because if you order a large one of these and eat it all by yourself, that is just not the right or smart thing to do for your health. These are meant to be shared with at least 3 other people. And interestingly enough, The same 11 herbs and spices are used in this fry that are in their classic fried chicken. And crazily enough, a lot of people have tried to recreate that secret 11 herbs and spices recipe. Over 1,000 attempts have been made, but no one has been successful. But you know, if someone were to be successful, they'd definitely be a food scientist. Now, we're gonna make an attempt to try to reverse engineer that secret recipe, but it is fairly difficult. We know it's made of herbs and spices, so one of the first places to start would be actually looking at the chemical structure of, say, a piece of their fried chicken skin. But that's going to be very difficult, because just because we know how many atoms of carbon or oxygen or hydrogen are there, doesn't necessarily mean we'll be easily able to then figure out the exact ratio of those secret herbs and spices. And there is some suspicion as to what those 11 herbs and spices could be. Those alleged 11 herbs and spices have been suspected to be salt, thyme, basil, oregano, garlic salt, black pepper, white pepper, dry mustard, paprika, or ground ginger. Now, it could be a mixture or a combination of any of those, but the ratio is critical to developing and continuing that consistent quality flavor that you know when you bite into that KFC secret recipe chicken. Now, maybe one of my favorite things on their menu, just because it is so classic and iconic to me, is this KFC famous bowl made with mashed potatoes, little chicken nuggets, some corn, some cheese, and of course, gravy. Now, this is so special to me because back at my school, we actually had something very similar. We called it the MASD bowl, and it was basically the same thing that I'm looking at here, although I believe they use American cheese, while this looks like a Colby Jack. Not too big of a difference there, but still one of my favorite things on their menu. Now, let's dig in. And there was actually a point where they included macaroni and cheese into that too. Talk about a crazy concoction. Interestingly enough, we've got ourselves some macaroni and cheese right here. So let's go ahead and bring back the classics. We're gonna give it a little stir and a little mix and see if we can't get a little cheese, mac and cheese, corn, gravy, and a chicken nugget. You know, interestingly enough, the corn actually provides a nice little bit of sweetness to help offset a lot of the savory sodium action going on in here. That macaroni and cheese is just creamy and gooey and just adds just a little bit more of my favorite thing in the world, cheese, to this already cheese-covered famous bowl. Sorry if I'm being cheesy about it. Potatoes are actually a great source of vitamins, minerals, potassium, and fiber. And plus, potatoes are also low in calorie and possess no cholesterol or sodium. But the mash kind of undoes all of those health benefits that a potato has. So a standard baked potato is always just the way to go. One of the items that they've recently brought back is a classic favorite of mine. Literally, we have the classic KFC chicken wrap with their fried chicken, of course. You know, it's actually got me so excited, I think I might have to tell you all about this wrap in a different way. Now, let me tell you about the KFC wrap. A flavor explosion, culinary trap. Tender chicken strips neatly wrapped in tortilla, spicy mayo drizzle, tastes so familiar. Lettuce, crisp, tomato so fresh, folded up, it's a flavor mesh. In the world of wraps, this one's a king. At KFC, flavor's the only thing. From the Colonel's kitchen to the block, we're talking buckets, ain't no talk. The Colonel's the best, that ain't no lie. KFC wrap, you gotta give it a try. And you know, one crazy cool looking thing that we noticed about this box and this picture of the Colonel is he kind of looks like a big head on a stick figure. I mean, look at that. There's his little legs and there's his arm and then a big old oversized picture of his head.
Howdy, Johnny. I'm glad you tried some of my delicious chicken. We call it KFC instead of Kentucky Fried Chicken because that way you don't think about it being fried. That's why it's just KFC now. Except for this box, I'm going to have to talk to marketing about this one. Now, Johnny, you better not be wasting none of that KFC. I pressure cook every single piece to pure Kentucky Fried perfection.
Yes, sir. Wait, I forgot you're not a real Colonel. Now it's time for a little Nugget Mania! Now we are going to try out the KFC sauces, Buffalo Ranch, honey barbecue, KFC sauce, honey mustard, their classic ranch, and hot sauce. I'm a big fan of buffalo ranch and the KFC sauce, so we're going to go ahead and try them out first. Now we're going to line up our nuggets, and we're going to go down the aisle. Ranch. Buffalo ranch. KFC sauce. Those sure are good. Now we've only got 3 left. Honey barbecue, honey mustard, hot sauce. Hot sauce first up, just to get that out of the way for me. You know, surprisingly not that hot. The buffalo ranch almost had a hotter kick. Now we're going for the honey mustard. And finally, the honey barbecue. All in all, pretty darn good actually. Can't go wrong with classic ranch for me. That KFC sauce melds so beautifully with their chicken. It's a reason why they created it specifically to pair with their chicken. And then honey barbecue and honey mustard, they weren't bad either. It's hard to almost pick a favorite, but you know, since it's KFC, I'm gonna go with the KFC sauce. After eating all that fried chicken, I think I'm ready for dessert. The Colonel's Rock Hard Home-Style Brownie Cake. I don't feel like waiting around all day for dessert for this one. So now I'm about to enjoy this whole cake. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to apologize. It was definitely pretty hard on the exterior and around the edges and as well, but the actual inside of it, pretty soft. Good consistency. I like it. It's gonna be an 8.5 out of 10 for me on this one. Just because still visually, it's not the most appealing when you see this cake and it just seems hard as a rock. Now, this isn't my first rodeo with a fast food milkshake. I've had one really good one and one really, really bad one. But you know what they say, third time's the charm. Oh, boy, folks, you know, this KFC is already doing some damage to my stomach. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I have a strong feeling I'll probably have to take another break after this milkshake. And of course, always make sure you're washing your hands after you use the bathroom. Alright, the moment of truth is here at hand. We are going to add a little bit of our KFC bowl, which has some macaroni and cheese, mashed taters and gravy, some corn, and of course, little chicken nuggets. We're going to throw in a little bit of a biscuit, and just for a little bit of added flavor, toss in some gravy. We're going to throw in some fries, a whole nother biscuit. We're going to add some gravy as our base. A little bit of mac and cheese on its own, never hurt nobody. A bit of this wrap here. A little bit more gravy to give us a little bit more of a liquid in our base. We're going to try a bite of their mac and cheese KFC wrap before we toss some of that in. Delicious. And you know, I can't believe I almost forgot about this little coleslaw. Thanks, coleslaw. I knew I could count on you. Alright, we're going to add a smidge of coleslaw for just a little bit of balance. And I mean, come on, we're Pittsburghers. We got to put coleslaw on everything. Now we're curious, have any of y'all ever heard about putting coleslaw on a sandwich? If you have, comment down below and let us know what the craziest thing you've put coleslaw on is. And of course, we got just a little bit of this chicken breast that we can safely add the meat of. Because we definitely don't want to be putting no bones in there. I don't feel like choking on chicken bones today. Or, you know, I guess any day by that matter. I almost choked on one when I was a kid, and it was terrifying. And, just to match with that KFC fried chicken, we are going to toss in a little bit of their KFC sauce. Now, let's lock, load, and get ready to blend. I think we've accidentally had a technical glitch. We've done it again. We've taken everything we've gotten today from KFC and we put it in our magic blender. And this is what we've got. And you know, only the fanciest of glasses is responsible for holding the fanciest of drinks. It's pretty thick in there, huh? Might need a little assistance. A KFC milkshake. Now it's time to give it a try. I am not looking forward to trying this. But you know what? That's why I do it, so you don't have to. Here we go. Oh. Oh. All right. Thanks again for watching another exciting episode of Johnny Aardvark, where we dive into the science and food behind America's most iconic and famous food chains and restaurants. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe. Please, if you really want to stay up to date, click that little bell notification. Let us know. We'll keep you informed on all of our crazy new adventures. Check out our shorts. Check out all of our social medias. I gotta go.